I'm sorry, I did it again. I forgot to delete the previous recordings that I did yesterday, so my time was cut shorter than 4 hours. Man. Okay, next time I will do better, but we will continue as if nothing changed, just like last time. I expected more stares, more people curious about why I'm with him, but they seem to be too distracted by the festival to care. He yanks me to stop and leans close to whisper in my ear. I see Omen over there. He points, and I follow his finger, finding the demon standing by himself beside the dark drink stall. Do you want to say hi? Yes, come on. He swiftly jumps in front of me, taking off running with his tail swaying freely behind him. Considering he was so concerned about being hounded, he doesn't seem to be bothered about how loudly he yells to get Omen's attention. I watch as he picks him up by the waist, swinging him around once before releasing him. A bright flush spreads across the demon's cheek, and I notice that he has his mouth full. He starts chewing furiously so that they can speak. What are you doing here? I didn't think you'd want to come. The best response Alucard can muster before his unexpected outburst is an indifferent shrug, causing Omen to roll his eyes and turn his attention to me. Hi, Chris. Are you here alone? He shakes his head, his tail flicking behind him and swaying from side to side. Finn and Urza are here somewhere. They went to find something. They just left you here alone, with all these humans around?
Humans don't care about me. I stay quiet. They don't really notice.
Alucard sighs and flicks the pointed tip of one of Omen's ears.
What did I teach you? Never let your guard down, okay?
I know, I'm sorry. I'll go find them right away. Bye, hot stuff. Later, nice to see you. I quirk an accusatory brow at him, trying to stifle my smile. Hot stuff. Alucard rolls his eyes, quite dramatically, pointedly avoided my gaze. Have you touched the guy? He's boiling. He even runs warmer than I do, and that's an impressive feat. How warm are you? I can't seem to help myself. And exactly how warm are you? He studies my expression, running his tongue over his stubby fangs.
You want to find out?
Can I touch your face? Just put my hand completely on your face. I didn't expect him to play along, so I nod and eagerly hold out my arm. He unwinds the wraps around his hands, and the full extent of his scars are finally revealed to me. He catches me looking. Gross, huh? No, it's concerning! I shake my head, wriggling my fingers. You don't go years of being a hunter without seeing and receiving more than a few scars. Sorry. I certainly wouldn't be a very good general if I was off-put by them. I think they're beautiful. I guess you're right. Nothing new, then. I smile. Nothing new. His smirk grows, almost morphing into a smile. Almost. He curls his fingers around my wrist, and the heat hits me immediately. It seeps right down to my bones, a comfort I didn't know I needed, as it chases away the biting cold. Well? I clear my throat, my pulse quickening and protesting beneath his fingertips. It feels nice. He exhales sharply as we stare at one another. It's quiet, but I notice. He withdraws his touch and rewraps his hands quickly. His cheeks are slightly flushed, and as he does so, and he refuses to meet my gaze. It's nice, I like it. I'm not surprised, humans are freezing. I don't know how you stand it. Hey, don't complain. You'll be begging me to cool you down in the summer.
I don't beg.
Want to place a bet on that? He huffs at that, all flustered, and I decide that Alucard definitely begs. So now what? You're the one who dragged me here. I'm just following your lead, remember? I hum, trying to figure out what to do in a place I have no knowledge of. Where are the food stalls? Are you hungry? Now you're talking my language. This way. He cocks his head and gestures for me to follow him back to the crowd. He seems far less bothered by the number of people that are here. I guess he can be relatively normal when there's food involved. We follow our noses, the sweet scent of freshly baked pastries and cakes luring us in. I spot a white forelock in the crowd, nudging Alucard in the ribs to alert him to Urza's presence. He takes off running again, and I watch as he sneaks up behind the witch. As Alucard attempts to scare the living daylights out of him by yelling, Ezra turns calmly, obviously unbothered, or just entirely too used to his bullshit. He rolls his eyes, but his smile is bright. Oh, Ezra looks gorgeous! That's awesome. I thought we were too boring for you, and you were going to stay at the shop. Alucard bristles, his nose crinkling as he smirks at Ezra defiantly. Yeah, well, I changed my mind. Ezra looks at me as I approach, registering that we are here together. Changed your mind all by yourself, Nothing to do with our friend here. Alucard huffs, busying himself by picking at a stray thread that hangs from his tattered shirt. Is he behaving? I see an opportunity and take it, narrowing my eyes at Alucard, twisting my mouth into a grimace. He's okay. I can tell you two will get along swimmingly. Oh, I forgot to ask. How are you feeling after last night? Alucard looks at me with concern etched on his face, and a deep furrow in his brow. God, I slept the entire day, Ezra. I just woke up like 5 minutes ago. What happened last night? Head was killing me. I'm fine, still a bit confused, but I'll figure it out. I think about someone in the crowd possibly hearing me, thinking better of uttering another word about my encounter. I'll explain later, Alucard. Now is not the time or the place. You know where I am if you need me. Hey, didn't the demon find you? Yes, he's with Finn, finding a spot for the fireworks. No need to worry. Speaking of, I'd better attempt to find them before they get swallowed by the crowd. Enjoy the rest of your evening. What Urza said true? What Urza said? Are you okay? I'm fine, but that's a story for another day, somewhere with fewer people. He looks a little worried, but he nods, understanding. Fair enough. You still want to get food? Do wolves howl at the moon? I don't know, do they? Nice. But seriously, I'm hungry. Alucard eagerly scoffs down the double slice of apple cake I purchased for him, eyeing mine when he's finished. Fine, you can have some. I look down at the remainder of my cake, then back up at Alucard. I'm surprised he hasn't swept it from my plate and run off into the crowd with the way he's staring at it. Don't you get fed? I get fed. It's just a lichen thing. We don't get full easily. Wolves are greedy creatures. He huffs, nudging my shoe with his bare toes. Would you like to finish my cake? His eyes grow wide, and he nods quickly, rubbing his hands together. I laugh at his eagerness to pick a bite-sized piece of the slice, holding it up. Oh, wait, let's read that again. I laugh at his eagerness and pick up a bite-sized piece of the slice, holding it up. You're joking, right? I shrug, a smile playing on my lips. I'm not joking. If he wants it, he'll have it my way. Do you want it or not? He grumbles, muttering something under his breath, gnawing cheeks, turning a charming shade of crimson.
Yes.
Damn it. Sorry, my finger twitched, so I clicked twice. That's my bad. He steps forward and curls his finger around my wrist, holding me steady. He makes a point to make eye contact with me, and I can't help the foolish grin that crosses my lips as he leans in. I watch as he parts his lips, seeing his short, sharp fangs as he takes a careful bite, and then humming and smirking at me as he swallows.
You like to play games, don't you, Hunter?
I gotta have fun every now and then. My entire day was me sleeping, and I had a rude awakening. I have to play games now. I hand him the paper plate, and he scoops the rest of the cake. You're just so easy to play with. He sputters, covering his mouth as he struggles to swallow down his final mouthful. I hear a cheer in the distance, and guess that the fireworks are about to begin. You'd better go if we want to get a good view.
You're in the sky. I can see the sky. How much more of a better view do you want?
But there's things in the way of the rest of the sky. Don't be annoying, come on. We run through the crowd with Alucard leading the way, his tail bobbing in front of me. He's fast, darting between densely packed bodies with startling ease, almost a shadow. I idly wonder what he's like in his hybrid form, thinking about the scars and the gleam in his eyes whenever he starts to get stubborn, and wondering how it would look on a wolf's face. He turns to check I'm keeping up, smirking over his shoulders when he sees that I am. He reaches out, offering me his hand as we draw nearer to the crowd that gathers for the display. Well, why would I overtake him? Oh, no, I'm okay. I take it without hesitation, squeezing him tightly as he drags me onward. Our laughter echoes ringing out over the chatter of the crowd. I'm fast, but Alucard is faster, and I'm thoroughly impressed. Pretty! Look at it! It's pretty! The second we hit the docks, the sky bursts to life. Fireworks frizzle against the backdrop of stars. We both look skyward as we skid to a stop, practically crashing into one another. Our smiles are wide and bright, and I don't care to let go of Alucard's hand. He holds mine tighter. What are you thinking? He stares at me, his vivid scarlet eyes burning into mine. I see the bob of his throat as he swallows, and the scar that cuts through his lip shift as he smiles.
Enjoy tonight.
And you're surprised about that? A series of ever-changing colors reflect upon his skin. Red, blue, green, white. He opens his mouth to speak, and I notice just how close we are. I swallow thickly and squeeze his hand again. Then, somewhere in the distance rings out a terrible and blood-curdling scream. I told you, man, we're due a body! Into the Lunaverse. Yay, pretty, whatever it's called. Pretty background? Labeled fight in this chapter would lead some scenes to violence and gore. Player discretion is advised. Okay. I am starving and very tired of reading. So I'm going to stop here. I know I accidentally messed up the recording, but I will hopefully not have that problem. Codex. Haha, I knew it. Cheese and crackers. Alright, let's read this codex. I told you we would do it later, so we will do it now, before I leave. The Hunter Academy. How much or how little the Academy has in the way of comfort is dependent on the city-state it belongs to. After all, it's overseas in the local special command sect. Its overseas are the local special command sect, and if they happen to be under a practically stringent Major General's heel, well, tough shit, kids. All training facilities for initiates are built like a small town, however, with a large building at the center where indoor classes are provided. Student housing takes up at least a third of the school ground, often dividing up to a house of 6 inhabitants. The other 1/3 is outdoor training grounds, and there is usually a patch of closely guarded forest for capture the flag. Wards provided by witches hang heavy around each academy, to both keep the students in and to keep bad things out. No one knows who exactly oversees these wards, and whether or not it's the same person, but in the past 100 years there have been very few incidences where something major managed to slip past these shields. Of course, unfortunate things happen. You can't cure stupid, but parents or loved ones who care are assured, honestly, that all efforts were taken to prevent hormonal, aggressive, overconfident teenagers to actually die from their own foolishness. Typically, hunters hunter initiates taken from a city-state or the surrounding areas end up in their local academy, but this is not always the case. Special command efforts handle most of the recruitment effort, by a hunter's vouch, a child can also be eligible to participate in the initiation ceremony. Should they pass, the hunter in question has claims as to where they will go, and many will take the child with them to the school closest to their home location. 101 apprenticeships or sponsorships of this kind were once the norm, and though its integration into the official government has forced the Hunter Corporation to be more even-handed and general in its instruction of its initiates, enforcers make the effort to preserve some aspects of old tradition out of respect. The only way to control rambunctious 12 to 18-year-olds known to any adult is to keep them busy, something which Hunter instructors do well, nor can it be said they only give out work as busy work. At the age of 18, before being cleared to leave the compound, a trainee is expected to be the fittest in their age group in one aspect or another, in all aspects if possible. So they stand and chance against the worst possible way for things to go wrong. Creatures' lore, habits, and victim patterns are a must. Demonology is a subject of its own, so extensive are the abyssal denizens, as are a study of plants and alchemy. For hunters are expected to use, if not make, many concoctions in their hunts. Intelligence gathering, crowd control, and so on are also part of expensive and rigorous curriculum. For the most part, all recruits are trained the same. Specialization begins at 16, and if by 18 overseers see a particular promise in that initiate's pursuit, the initiate might spend the next few years of their official on-duty time devoted to a deeper study of a subject. Most will go on to fight, whether or not they are well suited for it, because that is where their unnatural strength and creature sense see the most use. Although contact with people outside of the facility is severely limited until 18 years of age, from 16 years old onwards, students are regularly taken out of the school and on into nearby wilderness for hunting assessments that are closer to the real thing. Siblings are usually kept together for their schooling, but are then split up post-graduation and sent elsewhere. Those with strong ties or friendship or otherwise are also split up at the overseer's discretion. This is solely to avoid hunters letting emotions get the better of them in the field, as earlier history had shown that those paired with friends or loved one often end up dead, and much faster than they normally would with such a perilous occupation. When the climate is favorable, it's not unusual for an academy to also have ranches and farms that supply food directly for the residents and students. Field trips in these places are common, and sending senior students to fetch shipments and so on are excellent simulations for bodyguard assessments later on. Next, witches. Witches are in a curious phenomenon. There is no clear start to the origin of witches, but they appear to have existed as long as time can tell. There have been numerous accounts of strange incidences where seemingly no explanation as to why lightning would quite literally strike a home more than twice with almost ill intent, or why another town would find their crops flourishing during each harvest while others perished. Unexplained stories such as these were abundant in number in the time before Revelation Day, but have since become more refined in their detail. Now the world had finally come to learn the source of these strange supernatural occurrences, witches. All known witches to this day are found to be wholly human in origin. They appear as any other would, and while some may present themselves in more grand terms, they are unidentifiable in a crowd of people. They have no obvious markers that dictate their difference, but some people have reported detecting what feels like a missing pressure or shift in aura when finding themselves in close proximity with a suspected witch. There are, of course, varying degrees in which this is experienced, typically with how experienced the witch is at masking their power, or by how powerful that individual may be. It's when a witch uses their powers that they become more distinctive, performing magnificent displays from weather control to telekinesis, control of the elements to healing wounds, far too tired for typical medical practices. They have been subject to much discrimination due to harnessing such powers, and were historically feared thanks to early depictions of witches being compared to being ascendant in nature. While demons are clearly labeled as denizens of the burning plains, witches have been described as being the opposite, and some even say as angels. While witches live a typical lifespan as humans do, their bodies are notably more resilient. Part of their coined angelic nature is that they are not receptive to corruption or bodily changes. It's common knowledge that witches are unable to become hunters, and this is due to their inability to successfully partake in the hunter initiation. Hunters become hunters through a literal change to their bodies, and the biology of the witch refuses that. Much like a T cell would react to an infection, it rejects that which would alter them in any sense. This in turn means that witches can also not become vampires or lycans. A bite from a vampire intended to turn them, or an attack from a lycan means certain death for a witch. Early attempts to turn a witch into a hunter have gone time and time again with failure, and thus the practice has not been used since. Though some late-blooming witch whose powers have not yet manifested have been rumored to attempt to partake the initiation and subsequently suffering terribly when their bodies reject whatever concoction they've been given. However, some willing witches are inducted as enforcers instead, their capabilities too valuable for the enforcement agencies to disregard. A witch's blood is a powerful thing, and as with power, it is also the front of their abilities. It is a common belief within Escria that there is no higher power, but with the presence of witches and their almost divine-like ability, they are something far more complacent than we could ever dream to understand. Further reasoning of the idea is that their source of power is derived from their blood, and that alone. There are reports of deceased witches, both malice and malevolent, who have met a quick end by their own doing. The common trend shared between the deceased individuals has been their consistent use of their powers, and them having overexerted that to the point of exhaustion and finally death. A witch can recover from their own self-destruction by better controlling their abilities and limiting the use of them. But from this we can certainly ascertain that their source of power is linked to their own life force. Practices and developments have been put into place by the enforcement agency to stem these to stem these casualties and to instead nurture them and keep them as healthy as possible. Witch children are more common in the earlier days, but with unions between them and humans increasing, their numbers have dwindled. A dilution of their breeding, as one might put it. Families that consist of 2 witch parents are guaranteed to have a witch child, but between a human and a witch, the likelihood is significantly less. Even with predecessors of witch blood, it is not guaranteed to be passed on to a child with human parents. A couple expecting one of these magical offsprings would look to find signs of power manifesting along the ages of 6 to 8, but some can wait as late as the time that they hit puberty. With this knowledge in mind, there are couples who have sought each other out with the direct intention of having a pure witch child. The most notable account of this is Lady Adaha and Sir Oberon Wilhelm, whatever, the founders of the most prestigious witch academy of all, Escria. Like all beings of power, witches are met with both relevance and fear. Revered for their seemingly ascendant abilities in the form of a human being, or wearing their guise to mask their true sinister nature. Severe undereducation of the individual among society created a stark contrast between those who treated them civilly and those who wanted them dead. There have been mass gatherings to burn witches, along with mania surrounding the confusion of who exactly was a witch among them, and those who simply used it for an excuse for murder. While there are known witches who have, as it is often put, gone to covens to concert and dance with the devil, there are those who would meet to simply be amongst their kind, free of their more wild deceptions. Those who extend their power as services for the betterment of society were those who became and continue to become the building blocks of who they are today. Witches that are accepted in towns are typically employed as healers, protectors, instructors, and sometimes even something as simple as a store owner for the local market. Acceptance of their kind eventually blossomed from the good intention of those who wanted to coexist and assess with their talents. A simple request to live. In conclusion, witches have gone through a curious journey of enduring the madness of the formulaic ages to the glowing era and becoming higher class citizens. They are both demanding figures of respect in society and unbridled power incarnate. It's not unlike their origins, but with a more favorable light in our own current hazy world brimming with mystery and intrigue. Vampires. Vampires have existed since there were humans to inherit their curse, or so says popular conversion. More rumors persist in some corners of Escria, especially in cults which worship them, that the original vampires were something wholly inhuman altogether. Some immortal godlike creature born long ago long before the scourge of men and the threat of extinction forced them to turn these very men into their own kind. Whether the truth, the enforcement agency, and ardentry reminds the general populace that vampires are one of the most dangerous yet most common creatures to walk among humans, and that they're predators in the most literal sense. Any average human possesses a basic skill set, thrall and superhuman strength and speed. Most vampires have red eyes, an ashen dead man's skin, and varying levels of moral conflicts about their natural diet. They usually congregate towards large urban areas where staying hidden is easiest, and prey was plentiful, but some, like the Casimir clan, have migrated to the countryside. Clan Casimir in particular, and those clans sharing their lack of disgust of hunters and the enforcement in general, were regarded as a strong lot, at best blood traders, at worst. At best, blood traders at worst. From when creatures were first discovered and humans took up arms against them, they were the first to be hunted. Some argue that they were also the first to be discovered, which is true, but many vampires who lived through Revelation Day were understandably unconvinced. Research from the informant agency shows conclusively that the process of becoming a vampire follows an almost ritualistic pattern. This hatched theories that the original condition has roots in an arcane curse and not merely physical mutation, as in the case of lichens. In order to be properly turned, the victim must embed vampire in... That is a B, right? Imbibed vampire blood while on the verge of death. The transformation has been observed to take place after death, twisting the victim's physiology until, should the ritual prove successful, they rise anew undead. By all gathering accounts, it's a painful and excruciating experience. A vampire always returned in madness and bloodthirst, and unless carefully supervised by their kin or sire, would be driven to kill the first viable meal to cross their path. Sometimes luck would have it be an animal. Most of the time it would be a human. The uncontrollable feeding of starvation would plague a youngling for at least 365 days, after which they could, in most cases, be left on their own. Not all vampires have the fortune of feeding a nurturing coven. Even enough were turned in spite for spite, then unleashed on the hapless populace for sport, that the Hunter Corporation upheld a kill-on-sight policy for unsupervised younglings in most regions of Escria. They are easily identifiable by their shorter fangs, which don't break through properly until a number of decent feeds, and their unstable, almost animalistic nature. Clans with proper leadership and roots choose members with extreme selectiveness, and some have existed for so long in Escria in Escrian myths and histories that the mere act of drawing their attention was considered a great honor by Fantics. Fortunately, these circles don't often make themselves known for the common folk. Hunters and enforcers coexist with them in varying degrees of comfort and immortality, as immortality often proves as a breeding ground for inhuman apathy and sometimes cruelty. Still, their subtle influences and human politics can still sometimes be felt. Few allied with mortals are friends with these vampiric aristocrats, and fewer still are willing to talk about any connection with them. What knowledge the aristocracy has relinquished to hunters, however, revealed a structure both ancient and stable, and an unwillingness to challenge status quo. That status quo has kept humans safe for thousands of years, and even the enforcement agency was almost unanimous in favor of respecting it. Who could have known what the aristocracy's culture was like? For the run-of-the-mill younger vampires, they were simply products of what they were in life. Many vampires are Aclean by human birth, and some were from the Far East or Far West, arriving in Escria through either migration or because they returned here. The Enforcers. In the wake of the extinction of supernatural creatures being made known to the world, there was a course of time of great fear and superstition. Hoping to make sense of the chaos, a layman clung to religion and religious institutes in return took advantage of their desperation to swell in power. Mass executions, witch burns, and then as easy targets began to dwindle, the theocracies rose against the continent. Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. The continent to replace or trivialize previous governments. Escria came from such a history, though unlike some of her neighbors, had many tremendous and sometimes brutal efforts to remove superstition and religious influences from the governess. Escria's state is more militaristic, and the enforcement branch of the government was the practical solution to navigating the strange new world. The enforcement agency was once a mixture of hunters and their ordinary human partners who worked closely together to defend humanity against the worst of monsters. These days, as the agency's existence was officiated and creature activity increased across the globe, enforcers tend to work desk jobs instead of remaining in the field. Though, in rare cases, mostly where an enforcer is either a fierce fighter on their own right or a witch. Let's read that again. Though in rare cases, mostly where an enforcer is either a fierce fighter in their own right or a witch, they will still maintain the traditional field role when possible. One sore spot for a number of enforcers is that there are often hunter rejects. They are often hunter rejects. For reasons still unknown, witches and a handful of humans are unable to pass the secretive initiation that all hunter recruits must partake in. These rejects are often given place within the enforcement agency as a consolidation prize, and some say that this is often a source of resentment and the cause of the increase in tensions between enforcers and their hunter counterparts. Enforcement field agents are posted all across the country to keep an eye on dangerous elements, and higher-ranking officers often work closely with the hunter corporation to ensure sufficient numbers are recruited and trained and correctly paired. In places like Escria, the enforcers represent the central government as a body of governance, effectively granting them the power to oversee both normal and supernatural security measures, collect information, and control its own budget. The position of Lieutenant General, as currently held by Harold Addington III, has the unique intersection between being a rank of the national government and not just within the enforcement branch, hence its prestigiousness. Enforcers recruitment training are much less rigorous than hunters, as pretty much anyone can be one if desired. It also has divisions within its jurisdiction, and not all dedicated to the defense or eradication of supernatural threats, as Escrio welcomed the aid of witches and long-lived creatures like vampires at times, or at least covet knowledge and power they possess. It was able to make incredible advancements in both medicine and magic. Such research divisions are a part of enforcement agency and are overseen by its leader. The most prominent role of the enforcers is to maintain and restore order, and to manage the numerous hunters inside its employ. What other political ventures it meddles in are kept out of laymen's mouths, lest superstition turns to fear, blame, and pitchforks. Demons. Secret texts from the most ancient lands have long catalogued the existence of creatures from variations of a world adjacent or world below, often with accompanying descriptions of fire. Prior to the revelation, the creature's existence, the old established religions of Escria only acknowledged these hells as a metaphorical sort of after-death eternal punishment, and its denizens as smiles for sins and worldly indulgences. The truth, however, every hunter knows. And now the people know too, that these hellish realms are very real. The demons are real, and so is all the potential for strife that comes with their existence. There's a saying, if you can't calm demonic influences in any one event in history, you can... Wait, is it claim? O-A-I-M. The claim isn't spelled that way, is it? Sorry. There's a saying, if you can claim demonic influence in any one event in history, you can claim demonic influences in all events in history. Aside from the common mischief makers like imps and occasionally more dangerous manifestations from the 9 hell realms, demons are a more subtle species. While there is robust variance among their kind, many with different culprits and predator habits, demons are obsessed to prefer manipulation or indirect assistance rather than spawning themselves directly into the above world. The reason for this is simply a matter of resource. Natural boundaries stand between these realms and the mortal world, making traversing them costly for either side. Ensuring human prey by possession or overindulgence of their vices is a more economical approach to getting what you want for most demons. What they want also varies. Records tell of those who feed from fear and terror, from the ugly satisfaction in a human tyrant's heart when he crushes his enemies under his heel. Others might actually be considered chivalrous, an imp who finds her attention drawn to a bullied little girl, imparting on her advice and tools to get back at her tormentors. Either way, these wants fall under a common umbrella: chaos, large scale or small scale, for noble whims or for ill. Demons are drawn to discord, imbalance, and extremes. Some speculators are sometimes masterminds and elaborate multiple generalization schemes. They are always there, on the verge of shifting history, watching, feeding. Because of the boundaries, most demons larger than the size of a horse have trouble manifesting themselves fully in the mortal world without some ritual setup and aid. Which of course means that demons of that size and below have sometimes merely fauna or flora from the hell realms that happen to drift over, cause, one hell of a problem for humanity. Hellhounds, creatures of smoke and very real fangs and claws, haunt the foggy mountain passes and wildernesses when the sun goes dark and the boundaries relax. Imps raid shops and alleyways, viciously tearing up stray animals for the taste of foreign food. Willow whips lure the lost to their despair and death. Flowers bloom in an unsuspected villager's well, poisoning the inhabitants into a maddened state. Whole swarms of butterflies, mutated by some hellish disease, washing through the countryside and sucking livestock and people dry of souls or blood, or both. These are problems hunters face, and face often. Furthermore, these are considered small problems. For though these lesser threats are large nuisances, means to repel them are plenty. Most demons of this caliber do not leave lasting damage on the realm. The boundaries eventually drain the land of the traces of their essence and banish it back to where it came. The larger threats are those who acquire human benefactors of whom they've grown fond, but be it a possessed heirloom, a lover, a friend, once an emotional attachment is formed between a human entity and a demonic one, things complicate. Creatures of the hell realms do not seemingly maintain solid forms like things in the mortal realm do, which make manifestations born of their emotions much more powerful, much more corporeal, and much more dangerous. And of course, for humanity and demons alike, the most powerful binding and breaking agent is love. Threatening one or both of such partnership is unusually a dangerous task, and one many hunters rue. What humans know of demonic hierarchy is fairly limited. Gathered intelligence from cooperative individuals confirms individuals confirm its existence, or at least something similar, that there are demons who rank higher, are more powerful, and have a natural powerful sway over those of lower rank. Okay. Who these princes and lords are, however, are unknown. More accurately, they cannot be known. What is known is that there are plenty of them. One should keep in mind that this is just what is known in Escria and its neighboring countries. Across the sea, among different human cultures, knowledge of demons may vary and may be even richer in comparison. Fascinatingly, local demon habits, cultures, and manifestations reflect their closest human populations. And this, more than anything, blends them in as a part of a complex ecosystem of the world. The capitalization of the race's name is not a choice born of respect or to regard their kind as special in some way. Rather, it is a denotation, I think I'm saying that wrong, denotion of their status as foreigners, as a country, much like when capitalizes Escrian. There used to be another word for the race itself, but that word is lost. Modern conventions simply default to this term instead. Probably a chimera for filing Piper Marion. Dear sirs or madams or peoples, there's a vicious beast outside our farms northeast of Lunaris. Each night it yowl and howl, scaring our cattle and our baby. The baby in turn cried until I, this being my 5th child, still cannot sleep. My husband is otherwise also irritated and on edge. We are all very on edge. The beast is vicious, mean, and loud. I chanced to spy it once while using the loo after dark. It got a fearsome face, or 3 of them. I saw shadowy heels under our fence line. It's huge. You must get it, or I fear we will be eaten by it before moon turn. Many, many thanks, Ranger Bertha Simeon. Likely not as fearsome as she imagined if they heard it and are still breathing. Besides, our hunters passed through that area on patrol just 2 weeks ago and reported nothing. Still, it can't be dismissed as hearsay. Investigated. A. Wilhelm. August. We made it here last night in the middle of the freak thunderstorm. Rancher Bertha seriously does have 5 offspring in here, counting the baby. And they talked so loudly, I'm wondering if she didn't just get pranked by them. Can't investigate shit in this weather, but I don't sense anything unusual. Bertha and her husband are 1 step away from nailing my sash to the door to stop me from leaving, though. So I'll stay and make sure whatever it is found. In the meantime, I hope this letter makes it to you. If it doesn't work well, nothing lost. If it does, I'll have something more substantial in my report than I lived, bitch. Piper. Yes, the message spelled worked. You really wasted such an expensive prototype on that kind of report. I expect a more formal debrief when you return, A. Wilhelm. Wilhelm, guess what made the awful noise? The Chimera awful noise. Guess, a fucking cat and her kittens. A waste of time as usual. Piper. Stop wasting paper, A. Wilhelm. Right here. Save. Oh my god, if I can just do that. Okay. Save. Zoma. He's lost, but he feels at home at the same time. This place. He's become so familiar with terrifying but beautiful. His shirt sticks to his back, blood and ichor thick as it coats his skin and trickles down his spine. As the gravel clutches beneath his feet, he idly wonders how long he can keep up this glamour. None of the humans that he passes bother to offer him a second glance. But if they saw him for what he really is, his true form, Gazari, he picks up his pace, sweat beading upon his brow, and he pushes forward, the pain getting a little too much to bear. Flames not beneath his skin. He's never felt the scrapes of his own claws before, and he suddenly feels sorry for any foe he's cut. The sting that lingers in their wake is unforgivable. The scent of magic is thick as he rounds the corner. The soft blue of a mage light lantern that glimmers in the glowing darkness, calling out to him like a beacon. He grips the cool metal handle and pushes inside, the scent of something sweet welcoming him. Oh, hello there. He looks around and finds a human waiting patiently, a witch by the smell of him, one with kind eyes. Omen frowns, not quite able to find the words he needs, his eyes watering from the incessant sting that continues to worsen. He winces as he moves his arm carefully, not wanting to startle the human. You're injured. The words he hears are foreign, and he can't bear it anymore. He can't bear it anymore. Needs relief, a potion, anything to stop the searing pain. He twists, clawing at his shirt and revealing the damage, hoping the human can understand what he needs. The human is cautious as he steps forward, a faint glow kissing the tips of his long fingers. Omen tenses. Injured, hurt, healed, no. Ray, no. The human blinks, withdrawing his touch. He pauses, shakes his head, hushing him, and the noise is soothing. Stop panicking, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. Yawns. No, that's not it. He huffs, brow furrowed, and then smiled. Ah, you're hers. You're hers. Calm. Omen nods and takes a breath, and he lets the human look. The symbol. You're, well, shit. You don't need healing at all, do you? Omen closes his eyes, drops his head in shame, sensing a human's I know this word. Apprehension. Nope. Apprehension. Before he can change his mind and flee, the human is muttering to himself, gathering supplies from various shelves and cubbyholes. He carefully peels Omen's shirt and the rest of the way off. Guiding him to sit on a rickety old chair. He places a hand upon his shoulder, meeting his gaze with startling eyes. I'm going to clean this, okay? Sahad? Omen smiles, nods, the sound of his language more comforting than this human could ever know. You did this to yourself, didn't you? Omen understands this, and he nods again, flinching as Ezra presses a warm, wet cloth to his womb. Yes. My name is Ezra. What's yours? Omen bites his bottom lip, looking over his shoulder, Ezra's hand working quickly to clean his womb. Omen. Ezra smiles, wrapping cloth around the cuts. That's a nice name. He helps Omen back into his shirt with a click of his fingers. It's clean, free from any trace of ghastly black blood. He disappears for a second, returning with a small glass cup filled with a thick green liquid. The smell is pungent, but strangely appetizing. This will help the pain. Omen takes the cup, curling clawed fingers around the delicate glass, and he drinks greedily, nose crinkling at the rancid taste. Earning a laugh from Ezra, he feels infinitely better the second he's finished. Thank you. Ezra smiles, taking a cup from him. Would you like to stay here tonight? It's safe. Zoma. Omen can't help but feel touched by his offering, and before he's even said yes, Urza is rushing off with a pile of blankets. Here, Zoma. And that looks like that's it. There's many stories. We'll do that another time, because as I said, I am, in fact, tired of reading, mainly because my throat is dying, and water's not helping. So, I'll have to stop for today. Probably not talk for the rest of the day, too. Which will be disappointing. But, let's go to the main screen. Thank you all for watching and sticking through it. I know that was a lot to read, but, I read it, but that doesn't mean you have to listen. I appreciate you all, and you're all wonderful people. I hope we have a great rest of this week, because I work at the end of the week, but until then, I'm free. But I love you all very much. I hope you have a great day. Don't worry, I got this. Yeah. Okay, well, I don't fucking